back, everyone. Welcome. You know,
we're just having
we
a
are
debate.
arguing or not
Debating.
We are debating, right? Because we are getting ready to discuss this episode, and we're like, okay, so yes, we are having a conversation about stigma and introducing our family, right, to the community, or however you want to explain it. What were you saying?
Anyway, so the whole thing is just so that you guys understand too, our topics are not like preemptively thought
Like, we
out
don't
beforehand.
plan.
We don't plan. We sit here a few
down
days before,
and we talk.
and then we talk about it.
And then you talk on top of me and I talk on top of you. And literally, this is how Daddies On Duty came up.
Yeah, but our debate just now was
Which I'm getting a little upset right now, you see?
was the topic. What should this topic be? And you said.
Well, I said...
He said normalize.
No, within this topic, this is normalizing being two gay dads in our just day to day. Like how... And you said no, that there's nothing to normalize about
And
this.
I said no, and I'm going to explain it.
So why don't you think we need to normalize it?
Because I don't think that implying that you're normalizing something is suggesting or implying that it's not normal. And that's not true.
Well,
it might
guess.
not be someone's normal,
Okay.
but this is our normal. So
It is our
so
normal.
we're not normalizing. I'm saying we're introducing our family to the public.
And as we are introducing our family, we are normalizing being ourselves to whoever doesn't know who we are, whether we are walking down the street in our community, going to the park for the first time.
Thank you all. I think you all agree. I was right.
You know,
we're going to get started with this episode.
Whatever you want to
I think
call it.
I've kind of,
I've
won this debate.
I want to hear from the people that are listening and watching it.
I think that this episode will be titled Stigma.
Okay.
Introducing our family to the public to same-sex, two men, same-sex relationship, raising a baby.
Yeah, two fathers.
And I think that's what the, thank you. I think what we wanted to really discuss and, our experience now, how it's been, anyway, doctors' offices and everything else. I know I tend to win most of the arguments. It's a language barrier.
Excuse me.
Through it.
He makes fun of me. I mean, like, what am I talking? What is this, Chinese to you?
And
we're not gonna get there because you're gonna get me upset. You're gonna get me upset.
Anyway, so back to
you are gonna get me upset.
Back to this episode.
Okay.
So very often for us, it's always kind of like a shock to everyone because we're not usually together most of the time, right? Because of our schedules. So when as it relates to pick up and drop off for the school, they always see one parent.
Yeah.
Or if we have like a gathering, like we had meet the teacher, like the parent teacher conference night, and then like, oh wow, okay, there's two men, okay. Or even like in a doctor's office, or when we go out to eat, like, oh, where's the mom? And then boom, here comes a very masculine looking mom, you. So those are kind of like. Those are some of the things that are kind of like the elephant in the room that no one ever discussed. But I know that even when we
yesterday we went to the park, right? So I'm like walking with Leia, and then I see a mom with a 5-month-old baby. Yes, 5. We're talking about the baby, and she's asking me about Leia, and I'm like, okay, yeah, she's 9 months, and it's going great. The first months were challenging, blah 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 blah. We go through all that, and then you come with Ethan, and then Ethan is like,
don't forget the courage.
I'm like, Ethan's like, Daddy Eric, we gotta go, and then the lady I'm talking to, she's like,
yeah, it's the look on everyone's face. It's always priceless, and they never really say anything. I don't really think they know how to react, and I think it's a combination of things.
Well, I got one from someone. I got one saying, I never thought you guys were gay because you guys don't act gay.
Yeah.
Which, how do you act gay? I mean,
we know how you get.
We know, but that's...
The perception for many is that all gay men...
You have to be feminine.
...are flamboyant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you see these two guys walk in, and and I do want to touch
I think sometimes I can let my little plumitas here and there. I mean, I am who I am.
No, he does. The other day I had him wear heels.
You're funny. That's the night that you wanted something special, papito.
But anyway, it's a very interesting look that we get.
Those were not my size.
Sorry, Wilma. Those were like, my friend left them in their bag. And I said, hey, why don't you try them? He almost broke his ass. But anyway, back to this topic. Yeah, it's the look on people's face. So there's 2 points that I really want to touch on. Is the before, like where we were before, and we've had this discussion on the podcast.
Yeah.
Where everyone's kind of like, oh well, 2 men can't raise a baby, let alone raise a girl. So I want to go back to that conversation that we had a few months ago and say that, you know what, we're doing an excellent job.
We're doing good.
Quite frank and honest, most of you raising girls, I can give you guys a few tips because you guys are not doing it right.
We're doing good.
we're doing great.
But we got a question that we're going to think ahead.
Yeah.
We're doing good until that comes up. Someone said, who's going to take care of Leia? Who's going to walk her through getting her first period?
Yeah, no, but
I mean, I haven't. That's like too far ahead, obviously.
I'm not worried about that, and we're going to discuss that later on because I've been there before with my oldest daughter and my niece, and with my 2 nieces. I was the one who was there.
So you have experience.
I have experience. It
Good.
was horrible. It was just not a pleasant experience. But I love you guys anyway. So that's one thing, and I have to tell you now. After now that we have a baby, and I have to tell you, it's not baby girl. It's not that we're experts. It's just that we, like I've said before, we ask, we research, we read. We have a lot of females involved.
We're very demure.
We have a lot of females that are in our life that also provide us, some guidance too. But I think overall we do a pretty good job. Now that's like the one point to like put this on. Then there's that look that we get every single time. It's like, oh, so the other day I went to a restaurant. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go out there. That's when you went to Boston. And we go out to eat, and then the lady comes in, and she goes, oh, my God, what a beautiful baby. But I'm a table for 4. Where's mom? Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, she's non-existent. Dad's. And she didn't know what to say. And she's like, oh, okay. And she just walked away. And we don't get offended.
No, we don't get offended because this is a teaching moment. That's why, believe it or not, I'm going to go back to the beginning. This is part of normalizing being who we are in the community, among people that perhaps they don't understand that families now are different. I mean, they've always been, they've been different.
Made up differently, and our family it's very unique.
Your mic needs to go up.
Oh, sorry,
there you go.
Our family is very unique.
Yeah, it is because of a lot of reasons. Not only because there are 2 dads, because Leia was born through surrogacy. Ethan, we are fostering. We already know that you guys. If you've been listening, you know the story of Ethan or watching. So our family dynamic, it's not a normal one at all.
Our family makeup is not the app.
Well, not that dynamic, because we are a normal family. Like we do exactly.
The makeup is not the thing, but I have to tell you. So introducing our family to society has, it's been very challenging in some ways. But I think in our case, has been a little bit more, a little easier. But I think it's because when we walk into a room,
people respect us.
People respect us, yes. And I hate to say it, it's like I hate to say that we put them at ease because they feel comfortable around us. I'm not saying that because it's a praise to us. Yeah. That's just who we are. My job is not to make you feel comfortable, nor is either yours or our family. If our family makes you uncomfortable, guess what? You make us uncomfortable.
Yeah,
not really, you don't. But that's our attitude towards things. Is
like we're not going to change who we are.
We're not going to change who we are
to try to fit in.
We fit very perfectly into our mold, and our family is we're very proud of it. I mean, I'm very proud of our family. I'm very proud of our kids, and I think our kids thrive. I think we thrive.
Well, this is all part of an educational experience because when Ethan was graduating from daycare, because it was a huge graduation.
It was a major graduation.
Daycare. You had the director, the principal, right, saying, "Let's clap for mommy." All right, she was like, "Oh, let's clap for mom and dad." But then she kept on looking at us because she knew Ethan was just dad and dad for this particular reason. Yeah. And then she would go, now let's clap for daddy and daddy. So it's like we are raising awareness and teaching at the same time.
We are raising awareness at some point. And it's funny because they want to be, it's like we were saying earlier about being like this whole woke society. It's like we're not going to be like, oh my God, it's not all inclusive. It's like we understand. We're sometimes not all inclusive. Yeah. We learn things every single day
as we go
along. But yeah, that kindergarten graduation was interesting.
Daycare graduation.
I mean, that daycare graduation was interesting. But you know what? Forget about daycare. so is Miss Rachel. You know,
And we love Miss Rachel.
love Miss Rachel. But there, you know, now the episodes are a little different. But in the beginning, it was like everything was about revolved around mom. And you know, people would ask us like, you know, aren't you guys afraid? Well, she's gonna say mom regardless. I said we're more afraid that she's gonna think Miss Rachel's her
Is
mom.
her mom.
But yeah, no. I mean, listen again. All families are different. I think it's you know, spreading awareness. Like,
So then, how do we focus or composition of our family to our day to day when we go to the park, right? When Ethan, we just had an open house last week, right? It was everyone was sitting down, mom and dad. We were the only two dads, so his teacher. His teacher knew that it was two dads because we met her before, but the other parents didn't know that Ethan had two dads.
see, it was interesting. So the other parents didn't know that they were two dads, right? But then I also have to put myself in their place too. But then they see these two men come in like in suits, like Men in Black. These guys, like, we just came off of work, you know, we came home for like a second, we freshened up, and we were the only ones who were actually dressed up.
Yeah.
And the only one that showed up without their kid. I mean, parents out there, if there's a parent-teacher conference, I don't think you're supposed to bring the kid.
Maybe they have.
I'm just letting you know. Unless
needed
you
to
don't have
bring
a babysitter, I don't think
You
it's
didn't know.
appropriate, especially if it's after past 7:30. But anyway, we walk in there and everyone's. But you know, by the end of the night, though, I mean, we interacted with a few of them. I'm the one who keeps saying, to sit over here, this one, walk away. Don't make eye contact.
We need to make those relationships.
Don't make
because
eye
what if
contact.
something happens? And you need to contact
and as I'm walking to the door, I see him interacting with two parents and saying, "Hey, come and meet this person."
Of course.
And next thing you know, we're exchanging numbers.
That's great. And now we have a contact that if something happens, we can call that person, right? If there's an emergency. And that's important of building relationships within the community and bringing diversity.
Anyway, not to deviate from the discussion, but yes, those are the reactions that we do get. There is a sense of, you know, more education. On that families are different, but I think that our experience so far has been either that one, they don't say it to our face, like, oh, I'm sure they might comment behind our backs or whatever. But I think by the end of the day, when they get to know us, the human, the individual, in this case, they always tend to, you know, it tends to be a very positive experience.
And do you think that we constantly gonna have to be explaining? Oh, she doesn't have the mom. It's gonna be two dads, right?
Well, you know what? I have to tell you. I find myself not explaining myself, because I don't explain myself to anyone, but I find myself being questioned more by the moms. And I think that for a lot of women out there, and I get it too, it's kind of like, you know, it's, you know, like it's insulting. It's not insulting, but it's like you're cutting me out of the equation, and they can't assimilate that into like their thought. Like they think, because like you need the mom.
Yeah,
like,
I just think since probably they see you with them or with her, with Leia, but just you two guys, or when I'm walking her, when we're going, you know, for a stroll in the park, they just see us, automatically they're going to think, oh, so where's the mom? I don't think the first question that comes to their mind is that, oh, it's two dads into
No, it's
mom.
like, no, it's once we get into that conversation, they do feel I'm not going to say threatened, because that's not the right word, but for lack of a better word, it's kind of like, okay, I feel some sort of way, because really you're saying that I'm not needed, you know, meaning them as a person. And I think if they don't think about, like, if they don't think of it like at the moment they think of it subconsciously, they're thinking like, okay, well, it's kind of like you're saying like, I don't matter. And, you know, and I do want to address that, because I think it's important. It's not that moms don't matter. We love our moms very much. We think moms are very important. I just think that for so many years too, that's been the role. Dad is the provider, mom is the caretaker. But I think most moms don't realize too that in many different modern family, dad is the caretaker, mom is the provider. I mean,
it has
changed a lot in like in a metropolis like New York City. In the big cities, you see it. In other places, you don't. So, you know, when you're interacting with different families, that's engraved into you. That's mom's role. And I can sit here and say that that's not true. And I've been in a heterosexual relationship too, where the roles were like opposite. Not that she was taking care of me, but I was still the primary.
I was
caretaker.
gonna say, what's that relationship? Because I want to go to that one too.
No. I was a primary caretaker too for my own son for many years. So I think that again, I also have some of my cousins who my uncle, may he rest in peace. He was the number one, and I think it's at the end of the day, and I see this now with our kids. Is the love that you provide, the love that you share. They're growing up in a home filled with love.
Yeah.
And to them, that is their normal.
It isn't normal because they don't know anything else, And I remember bringing this up to you the other day, and is how we talk. There are different types of families, and I want to make sure that our kids, when they go to school, they are learning that there's not just mom and there's just dad. So the other day I told you, I want to speak to the teacher to make sure that they are teaching our child, or in this case Ethan, he's the only one that goes to school now, that when they're learning about families, it's not just mom, dad, there's dad, there's mom, and I told you think it's okay for me to go and give her like some type of curriculum, on what to teach.
I said no.
But I'm asking you this because I someone that actually works on television in the Dominican Republic, that person posted a picture on Instagram of a book her niece got from school, and that book was teaching them that they are different types of families. Now, the way that person that is a celebrity in the Dominican Republic posted the Instagram picture was like saying, oh, look what my niece is learning in the United States. She's learning this and this and that. That is not right. We got to make sure our kids are learning that there's only a mom and a dad and all that stuff.
My feelings on that, because I know that it's a very controversial subject.
Yeah.
It's a very controversial subject with kids who are learning in school. And my response is very simple. Teach kids the curriculum. English, social studies, science. We don't need the social things in between. I don't think, I think early on you learn about families and so on. I don't think that, I don't recall ever being taught what family makeups are other than sex ed, which was like a whole different story. I think that the social aspect of it should be different because I think that I, as a gay male, I don't want to impose my beliefs, my thoughts, my family into anyone.
But it's not. It's not. It's.
Let me finish.
Okay, but
question. I am answering it.
All right.
I'm responding to you. That's just my thing. That's just my response. Like, I'm perfectly fine. You don't have, trust me, she will learn this at home and via her surroundings. Now, yes, you need to relate to something, but I do think that our kids live in a world now where that's irrelevant because they know more than we do.
No, I know,
as far as like a family makeup, I don't think we have to fight that battle right this moment because I do think other parents have the right I do think they have the right to shield their kids if they think it's right.
But I don't think that makes it right or wrong. I do think that just like children are learning mom, dad, how to write mom and dad, and this is a family, a mom and a dad and a little dog and a little girl, a little boy. I think that kids should be learning that families could be a mom and a mom and dad and a dad and a dog and a little baby.
That there's an age for that. That should be age appropriate. I do agree.
Yeah, it should be at the time that they are learning about families.
No, I'm saying that in general that generates a lot of questions for kids on what do you mean with, and I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying that why don't we just stick to teaching kids the subjects, English?
Well, they are going to learn the subjects, and at some point they're going to have to learn about families.
I think kids learn regardless, like they learn, I think by default, by just living, they learn, like there's, when we a few years ago when we had our other child here in placement, she was very not she was like, what, there's two men here, like what does this mean, where's the mom? And she used to question it all the time.
Yeah.
And then she was like, oh, well, okay, well, fine. She says, as long as you guys keep buying me stuff, then I guess this is a good dealio. That's just the way she spoke. She was very funny. But then what did she say one day? One day she went to school. So this conversation came up because she goes to school, and there's a young lady there. I think her name was like Camila or something like that. She goes to school, and the young girl had two dads. Remember?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
two dads.
I remember.
And then she comes home, and she says, Dad, there is a girl in school who has two dads, and she gets two of everything. She goes, why am I not going to take, So it's like, kids assimilate things differently, but they're going to be exposed regardless.
Yeah.
We're not the first or the last thing.
We're not. But
we're not. But I don't, I think we have to shift our focus, not us, in general society. Stop trying to teach kids so many things. Let kids be kids. I don't think we should be teaching them anything outside of their curriculum. If you want to teach them, fine, whatever. They learn things at home. Those are just my personal thoughts.
And then my personal opinion and thoughts is that when a child is learning about the family, what makes up a family, they should include families that are not just a traditional family. Because
think they
just
should
like
just
that
say,
little girl, Camilla, whatever her name was telling our child that we had him here in placement at the time, I'm a little, I'm not gonna say afraid, but it worries me that perhaps in the future, Catalea might have to face, oh, you only have two dads, and
we cannot shield it from that. That will happen because unfortunately you cannot educate everyone, and there are going to be ignorant families out there. Therefore, they're going to raise ignorant.
but at least
I think kids should be taught that all families are different.
Yeah.
Period. That's it. All families are different. It's okay to teach about mom. It's okay to teach about that. It's okay to. I think that if I were drawing up a curriculum for school, I would just speak to the different roles in a family, right? Who's who. And I think Miss Rachel actually did that one of her last episodes. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and she goes, or your parent, you're grown up. I think kids will figure out much better if you just say your parent or your grown up.
Yeah.
Like that's your grown up, your adult, your parent. I think I don't think we live in a world where one size fits all. But I don't think we should be in a world where we have to take our kid, like any kids, and drive all of our agendas to them. Just generalize it. Your parent.
Your parent.
Your parent could be your mom. Your parent could be your dad. Your parent could be your sister. I mean, I've seen families where the older sibling is taking care of the of the kids because they're like have a 20, 30-year-old gap. I think it's more about generalizing things because I don't think our society now fits just one mold. And in the past, it didn't fit it either.
It has.
But I think now
it hasn't for a while, and now it's just too extreme.
Now it's out there. So rather than taking the kids, who I do believe are innocent, and saying, well, let's educate you all from now on, LGBTQRZ, mom, dads, all these things, and all these. No. You have your parent. If you have more questions, goes. It's like I also don't want to put that on the educator. Because people have their own beliefs, they have their own thing. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's the school's responsibility to educate your child. It's your
responsibility
as a parent.
To
educate your child, and also educate your child enough to be accepting that all families are different. That's it.
So you don't think at school they should be able, when they're talking about families, they should include all types of families? I think they should
include every member in the family and just say that families are all different. Again, I'm going to repeat it. I don't think it's the family. I don't think it's the school's job to even dive that deep into your mom and your dad and everything else, because I don't think it's their place. I think that should happen at home, and you should just get a broad scope of what the family is at school.
Well, it was like in the state of New Jersey, there was a huge controversy last year because some school districts were outing their students to the parents. So basically, if a student came to the school because they were part of the LGBTQ plus community, they had some issues going on, so they were responsible of telling the parents that their child was gay.
Yeah, and that was very controversial. But to go back to this, because it's slightly different. If there is a new agenda that you and I didn't agree with, right?
Yeah.
Are we going to agree to it because the kids should be all inclusive?
What do you mean?
Like, let's say there was, like, I don't know, you can now marry pets. I mean, that's a little far-fetched, but now you can marry an object, right? And that we have to recognize, those things too, or being with pets, or identifying as a couch. Who the hell knows? All these different things. I'm not talking about the transgenders. We love you guys. I just say if there's a new concept introduced, I say stop saying that we have to put that on the school system and the education. Do that at home.
Yeah.
Keep things generalized and stick to what schools should do. Educate on subjects. Again, English, science, social studies, math, those things. Leave the social stuff outside of the school system. That's my opinion, and feel free to vote for me this coming November. You're very welcome. I mean, I just solved a major problem.
This is something that we're gonna agree to disagree, right? Like we're saying on certain things.
Listen,
not everyone agrees. I understand your point, and I
right.
understand my point. I think yes, subjects important. At the same time, when kids are learning about families, they should learn about just families overall, including two dads like we are. Because back here, I'm thinking, how is she gonna act when you have other kids telling her, "Oh, you only have two dads,"
or like I said, or just don't teach on families at all.
Okay,
Keep it general.
Okay. And then how do we then, us, you and I here as members of this family, we're not normalizing, like you said. How do we then move forward every time that we go out, every time that we get asked the same question, or how do we continue saying?
The answer is very simple.
What's the answer,
We
sir?
stick to being who we are, repeat the same thing, and that's it. That's all we can do. My job is not to save the cheerleader, save the world, and convince you. That's not my job.
And 9 months later,
okay. There's access to Google now. You should. I'm sure not. Listen, we're not the only couple here that's gay. Every family has that gay cousin, that gay brother, gay whatever, or that one black sheep, or that one slutty cousin or niece or whatever. We all have that one person in our family. That's not. Let's stop taking on so many things. And just be a good person, do good things, and just spread the same message. And that's it.
Has it been harder 9 months in explaining our family to others?
No, because I don't have the same problem you do.
Okay.
And like most people, most people find it very difficult to approach me. Like they don't approach me very easily. And it's not that I'm intimidating. It's just that I don't have that open door policy. That's none of your business. I said, I find it. I would be very disrespected if you came. Wouldn't do that to you. And I think most people get that sense, or that impression when they meet me, not to go in that direction. There's some that do, and I don't have no problem having that conversation. But I think we have to give everyone.
Yeah.
You have to give others instructions on how to treat you, on how to speak to you.
So basically, you are the gatekeeper of what you are asked or not.
I am the gatekeeper of my feelings. I am the gatekeeper of my emotions. And I choose what I want to disclose, what I don't want to disclose, what I feel comfortable, what I don't feel comfortable with. And if something feels good, it feels good. If it feels bad, I don't want it. So it's not my job to educate you. I'm sorry. I'm a very smart individual, and I would hope you would be too. If you don't know, then you should educate yourself. Otherwise, then we shouldn't have this conversation, because you're not at my level yet for us to have this conversation, and that's how I feel.
Well, thank you so much for that. I mean, the whole point of this podcast is to educate and to raise awareness.
I hope I provided you
and I think you did, right? I think we have very strong different. Let's just call it. We have some differences, as we always do, which is fine. And I'm sure the people that are listening to us and are watching us are appreciating our differences. So we want to hear from you as well. Just let us know what you think of this. Let us know how you handle if you are same sex parents.
He's being very long-winded. Let us know if you agree with me, or you agree with him.
All right. Okay. Sounds good.
Right.
All right.
There you go.
See you next time.
Have a good one, everyone.